my generation, we get our friends together to make dance videos. But in 1941 Nazi Germany, 16-year-old Helmut Hubner got his friends together to take on Hitler. Yeah, that actually happened, and they were my age. My generation needs stories like this. We need it. Based on a true story. At the height of World War II, an anonymous leaflet denouncing Hitler and his Third Reich is posted in the middle of Hamburg, Germany. The author? 16-year-old Helmut Hubner. Helmut and his friends try to expose the truth about the war and the evils of Adolf Hitler while evading an obsessed Gestapo officer who won't rest until these freedom fighters have paid for their conviction with their blood. It's called Truth and Conviction. A story about someone my age standing up to Hitler in Nazi Germany. If you're thinking, wow, what an amazing story, someone needs to turn that into a 4-part miniseries. You're not the only one. The creators sent the script to the Academy Award-winning producer of Schindler's List, Gerald R. Mullen. Oh, and here's what he had to say. I've had the opportunity to read some phenomenal scripts in my 50-plus years in the business. And now, again, I've been blessed to have read a masterpiece. Reading this story has moved me to a sense of pride, country, honor, duty, and tears. The Truth and Conviction team started with writer-director Matt Whitaker. Matt wrote the award-winning World War II films Saints and Soldiers and Instrument of War. He even made a PBS documentary about Helmut and his friends, with the last surviving member of the Hubner group. Kaleidoscope Pictures joined Matt to make this vision a reality. Kaleidoscope has produced more than a dozen feature films and network television series. Multi-million-dollar productions are what they do. And for marketing and distribution, Angel Studios, the studio behind the biggest crowdfunded series of all time, The Chosen. Angel has helped raise over $30 million for incredible stories that amplify light. And Baltic Films, the European production arm behind award-winning mega hits like HBO's John Adams and Chernobyl. Wow. Now all they need to share Helmut's story is you. The Truth and Conviction team is inviting you to become a part owner in this series. Just click the link to invest in Truth and Conviction today. By investing in Truth and Conviction, not only could you share in the potential profits down the road, but more importantly, you would share in bringing this heart-changing story to the world. Oh, and I guess I have to say this too. As with any investment, only invest what you are willing to lose. Lawyers. But the team thinks investors could make their money back and then some. Historically, people love World War II stories, and we think Truth and Conviction can join the ranks of some of our favorites, like Jojo Rabbit, Dunkirk, The Book Thief, Schindler's List, The Imitation Game, Saving Private Ryan, and Band of Brothers. World War II stories can get intense, but the creators of this show want it to be safe to watch with your teens because it's a story about teens. I mean, this is different from watching adult Tom Hanks save adult Private Ryan. These are teens that can relate to. Think Dead Poet Society meets Schindler's List.
I came across the story of Helmut Hubner more than 20 years ago now, and I'm telling you, it will not let go of me. It's a story that changes people who hear it. It might be that it's more important right now to tell this story than it ever has been.
I mean, Nazi Germany would never happen again. Some authoritarian leader isn't just going to invade another country. We're past that, right? With the story of Truth and Conviction, kids my age can feel that maybe we too can stand up for what's right. So click the link or go to angel.com/truth now to own a part of this soon-to-be favorite World War II epic. It'll join the ranks of Hacksaw Ridge, The Imitation Game, Life is Beautiful, The Great Escape, Valkyrie, Letters from Iwo Jima, The Great Dictator, Patton, The Dirty Dozen, Downfall, Pearl Harbor, The Sound of Music, The Longest Day, Das Boot, Casablanca, Bridge Over the River Kwai, The Guns of Navarone, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, Atonement, Darkest Hour, A League of Their Own, Greyhound, please just click the link, The Swing Kids, The Diary of Anne Frank, Resistance, Defiance, U-571, The Zookeeper's Wife, Operation Mincemeat, and a call.
Hey everybody, welcome to this Truth and Conviction live stream. I am Matt Whitaker here with my awesome partner Russ Kendall.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Good to have you, Russ. And just want to extend a warm welcome to all of our Truth and Conviction fans, all of our Angel fans, and you know, Russ, we're supposed to at the beginning of all these to say how excited we are to be doing another live stream. If anybody knows Russ and me very well, you know that we actually don't love doing these live streams, but I can genuinely say that we are both actually really excited to do this live stream because we have an incredible special guest who's going to be joining us, John Ondrasik, also known as Five for Fighting. And so a special warm welcome also to all of you Five for Fighting fans. We are just so stoked to be able to have John with us, and we're going to be having him join us in just a couple minutes. But before we do that, Most of you probably remember that last week we were in Germany for this whole past week. It was the 80th. It was the commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the execution of Helmut Hübner at the Plötzensee prison outside of Berlin, where it's now a national memorial. And so the government, the German government, was holding this commemoration event in honor of Helmut and his two friends, Karl and Rudy, and what they had done to stand up for freedom. So we were there with our cameras, and we did 2 live streams while we were there. So the first one, which we did a week ago yesterday, so it would have been a week ago Tuesday, we made a huge announcement, and if you missed it, it was this, that the investment round is now live. So you can invest in the Truth and Conviction series. All of you, if you just go to angel.com/truth, and if you have already expressed interest, you just go to the same place you went to do that. And it was really cool to see that whole part of the process of when people were expressing interest and we were gauging interest. We got north of $6 million in expressed interest. And so now all of you wonderful folks who did that can just go back to the same place, angel.com/truth, and invest in this and become a part owner in the Truth and Conviction series.
And we appreciate those that have already invested thus far and appreciate that support. And again, just encourage you to go to angel.com/truth and continue that support. Help us make this show.
Yeah, and share it with your friends. You know, again, you hear about stories like this, these true stories that are so inspiring, and you may find yourself saying, man, somebody should make a movie about that. That's what we're trying to do. So again, yeah, absolutely, Russ, just those early adopters who have already just dived in and invested. We're just getting started, but we're just really grateful. Let's see. Oh yeah, I was going to say, so we did that first live stream in Germany on Tuesday, the 25th, and then on Thursday we did a second live stream, which was the 27th of October, which was actually the date, the 80th anniversary of the day that Helmut Hübner was executed. We were sitting right outside the execution chamber, and it was a really tender and powerful experience.
It was sober, it was reverent, it was celebratory as well.
Yeah.
Celebrating, obviously a horrific event, but it was also celebrating a life that mattered.
Yeah, it was different than I think all of the other live streams that we've done, as it should have been. There was just a really strong and powerful feeling there that day. So I would invite you, we would ask you to, if you feel so inclined, go and check out that live stream. It's very powerful, and it touches on a lot of the reasons as to why we've been trying for so many years and working toward being able to take this true story and make it into a dramatic limited series. And so if you do get the chance to do that, again, it aired last Thursday, October 27th, and we hope you can do that. Also, go ahead and comment below. We'd love to hear from you. We love the interactions, and in this format, that's kind of the way that works is you type your comments, you type your questions below. Tell us, I love seeing where people are from, actually, because it's cool to see just all over the country people are tuning in. So do that. Yeah, like I say, if you've got questions that you want to ask, if you've got questions that you want to ask John Ondrasik from Fight for Fighting, once he's on, put those in as well. I think he's going to hang around with us for a few minutes and answer any questions that are directed at him. And we would love to do that. Like, share, comment on this post, all those things that we just love the engagement and the back and forth that this allows us to do. Russ, do you want us to tell us a little bit more about our incredible guest that we're going to have?
Yeah, absolutely. Super excited to have John join us. John's moniker is Fight for Fighting, and many know him for his songs Superman, 100 Years, The Riddle. John has written songs that have been featured in films, in television series. John is an incredible supporter of the U.S. Armed Forces. John's a great family man, and just a wonderful, wonderful individual, and we've known him for a while, and just appreciate him coming on board and chatting with us tonight. We're going to be talking about the power of music, and John, in relation to this project, has been a keen supporter and champion of it. Shared the script with John a couple years ago, and he's read it and connected with it, and so excited to chat with him tonight. So let's bring him on.
John.
There he is.
Hey, John. Great to see you, man.
How are you?
Yeah. I should have mentioned,
You-
also an avid sports fan. So,
As you can see, welcome to my studio. You guys look pretty good after flying 18 hours the other day, so sounds like a very inspiring trip.
Man, was it ever. And yes, we are, full disclosure, we are still a little jet lagged.
I don't blame you.
yeah, it was a busy week. We're thinking this is our third live stream in a week. We also filmed content for 3 mini documentaries last week as well, just at various places where Helmut lived and worked and was arrested and imprisoned. So a lot of great content came out of that trip. But
Yeah.
we're excited to be here with you, John. You and I have been friends for a while now. We first met, I think it was 2008, on working on a music video for a mutual friend of ours, Sandy Boynton. And that was a fun experience. You came out here to Salt Lake City, and we filmed. And then I think it was 2017, worked together on a Christmas concert, Fight for Fighting Christmas special. There it is,
There it
Christmas
is.
Under the Stars. That was fun because
There's my
your
daughter,
daughter Olivia.
There she is. Sorry,
I was sitting on the front row.
Oh, right on.
So that was a lot of fun. And then it was a couple years ago, you joined us for Grace Notes. And I'll tell you what, you did the most beautiful rendition of Amazing Grace. And appreciated you coming on that show and being a part of that. And so it's been great, collaborating together, and, appreciate your support on this project. Obviously, you're somebody that, I love your music, and, that's been, something I've really enjoyed. But something else is I just have a great amount of respect for you in the way you use your talents and the gifts that you've been given, and the platform that you have. When you feel passionate about something, you take a stand for it through your music. You use those gifts and your platform for, to advocate, to, try and, create change. And, it kind of ties into this story that we're telling of Helmut Hubner, who, he saw something that didn't sit right with him. And the tool that he had, the gift he had, was the written word. And so he started with, a single keystroke on that typewriter, and then, became a full-fledged Nazi resistance fighter. But it starts with taking that first stand and that first step. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I'm so excited to hear your thoughts about that, and, taking a stand for what you believe in. So,
I was curious, John.
No,
Did you always know, like when you were a struggling songwriter, singer-songwriter, did you kind of have this thought that, man, if I ever get a chance, I really want to use this to for good? Or did it just kind of happen naturally?
Well, Superman was basically written as a woe is me. It's not easy to be me. It's not a song I could write today, because I've learned over the last 25 years it's actually pretty easy to be me. But I wish I had some romantic, powerful answer to you for that question. But not really. I was just trying to write songs. I was trying to be heard. I think every artist, they just want to be heard. You guys want people to see your movie. I think every artist, if you have that opportunity, whatever happens, good, bad, you can live with that. But I think for so much, especially young artists, it's just a desire to be heard. And then if you're fortunate, if you're blessed that people respond to what you do, the true blessing is to be able to make a difference with your music. It does allow you to shine the light on causes, issues, people, make a difference on a macro scale and on a micro scale. And I've really learned that. I had no idea until Superman kind of did what it did, and some of the other songs, how music affects people's lives as individuals and as kind of masses. So it has been the true blessing of my life to use these songs and use my platform to try to really shine the spotlight where it belongs. We live in this celebrity culture, and we think about actors and rock stars and all that stuff, and but really the beauty of having songs people know is to use them in a positive way and shine spotlights on true heroes that may not get the attention that they deserve.
I, along with so many people in the world, will never forget, of course, what happened around 9/11, but in the aftermath, the song Superman just became like this instrument of healing in a way for so many of us. And what was that? Can you just share kind of what that experience was like for you? Was that as big a surprise to you as it could have been, or?
It's still kind of surreal to talk about. I was in London on 9/11, and like everybody else, I was in my hotel room, flipped on the news, and I saw the first plane hit the towers, very confused, horrified, and then when the second plane hit, we knew it was an attack, and like everybody else, I got on my phone and started calling everybody I knew in New York City. Of course, could not get through. And people forget, after 9/11, there were no planes in the skies. And it was surreal. It was like a twilight zone. And I was stuck in my hotel room for 8 days. I remember getting on the airplane, and we were all nervous to fly home. And I'll never forget the pilot coming on and saying, I know it's been a really hard week. I know you're nervous getting on an airplane, but I'm going to get you home safely. And I'll always be grateful to that pilot for easing our conscience. And I literally landed in O'Hare, and I got up the airplane, and I kissed the tarmac. I was so happy to be home. And I'd gotten a little sense that various organizations were using Superman in some of their videos, recognizing those firefighters who ran into those buildings. But I had no idea what the song had kind of become for America, and particularly in New York City, till I got back. And I went quickly to New York. Everybody had canceled all the shows. There are all these radio shows. I said, I'm not canceling it. We need to continue to sing. We need to continue to speak. We can't be, burying our heads in the sand. And go to New York City for the first time, flying in and seeing the smoke still coming out from Ground Zero, seeing the signs on every building, the missing signs. Like everybody, it was really hard. It was surreal. And then when I was asked to do the concert for New York, that came out of the blue. Here I am, this guy who just got used to hearing this song on the radio for the first time, now being asked to sing at this event put on by Paul McCartney with literally all the living influences of my musical life. In any other situation, it would have been, just a dream come true. But of course, this was different. And going to that concert for New York that day, and I'll never forget, I walked in and they had the script of who's playing when, and I figured, I'll be in the first hour when nobody's watching and get it over with so I can breathe. And I kept flipping through it and I didn't see me, and I'm like, oh good, they forgot about me, so I can just watch. And literally the last page was, John Mellencamp, Five for Fighting, and Paul McCartney, something like, very, at the end. So that freaked me out. And but yeah, to be able to sit there and play that song was an honor and moving. But more importantly, the lesson I really got was not my performance. It was watching bands like The Who blow the roof off Madison Square Garden, playing Bob O'Reilly, and watching those 20,000 people who had been down at Ground Zero, kind of doing the unmentionable, seeing things nobody should see, digging through the rubble, for the first time have an ability to release, to cry, to scream, to sing. And I really saw then why music can matter. Hits, fame, fortune, all that stuff, it's great. But in that moment I saw the true power of music and those people giving them that solace, that relief, and people taking it and using it in a way that was best for them. So again, it seems like forever ago and it seems like yesterday, but I'll always be honored to play that night and to play that song for those folks and those firefighters. And just a little caveat, just last month I was in Nashville doing an event for the Gary Sinise Foundation, which I'm an ambassador for, and many of the firefighters who were on the stage with me at Madison Square Garden were there at that night, and I played Superman with them standing there, and it was like deja vu, and it all came back, and there were a lot of hugs, there were a lot of tears, So it's actually pretty close to my heart right now. Having seen them and doing that song for them, and it still matters, and that's the beauty of music. It can kind of transcend time.
Love that.
Yeah. Russ was telling me, I think you shared with him at some point during that concert at New York, was there some kind of a connection between you and a first responder in the crowd?
Well, if for those of folks who watched it might remember, there was a lot of technical problems. It was a live concert. It was put together very quickly. So mics weren't working, so people were trying to do whatever they could to keep it going. And when I was sat down to play Superman, we have these ears, right? So we can hear ourselves. And they couldn't get my ears to work. So you could see the person introducing me trying to fill. And finally, the ears popped on. I could hear the piano. I said, let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, 5 for Fighting. Hit the first chord and 100 decibels of white noise in both ears. So it was one of those moments of truth in your life, the nightmare of nightmares. Here you are, live TV, 20 million people watching, and you have a choice. You can either pull the ears out, start over, kind of look like a fool. But I just started playing by Braille. I couldn't hear myself, and I kind of didn't know what to do. And I kind of looked out into the audience here at Madison Square Garden, and there was this kind of big union worker, two beers, a beer in each hand, kind of. And I looked at him, and he was singing Superman. And so we just started singing together. I couldn't hear a thing. I just kind of put myself in his body, and he started crying. And I tried to get through it. I got a little choked up. And so together, me and him just sang the song together. I never heard it. So it was just one of those things where you find this common humanity. And I helped him a little bit, and he certainly helped me.
Goosebumps hearing that.
Yeah, love that. Can't imagine what it would have been like just to be there. John, would you be willing to play and sing Superman for us?
Of course, I have a piano here. Might as well use it. So,
thank you.
here's Superman. I can't stand to fly. I'm not that naive. I'm just out to find the better part of me. I'm more than a bird, more than a plane, more than some pretty face beside a train. It's not easy to be me. Wish that I could cry, fall upon my knees, find a way to lie on a home I'll never see. It may sound absurd, don't be naive. Even heroes have the right to bleed. I may be disturbed, won't you concede? Heroes have the right to dream. It's not easy to be me. Up and away, away from me. Now it's alright. You can all sleep sound tonight. I'm not crazy or anything. I can't stand to fly. I'm not that naive. Man was meant to ride, but clouds between their knees. I'm only a man in a funny red sheet, digging for kryptonite on this one-way street. Only a man, a funny red sheet, looking for special things inside of me. Inside of me, inside of me. It's not easy to be me.
Bravo. Thank you.
Dude, thank you.
Thanks, John. That's so cool.
And that's something, I've heard the
I heard
song
myself
before.
that time.
Sounded really good.
Thank you.
So, anyone that's just joining us, John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting is here with us. We're discussing the power of music, the power that it has to touch our souls, to inspire, to bring solace. John Ondrasik for president.
What you
see
wish
that?
for. Be careful what you wish for.
Thank you, Ryan Rollins. I think we'd be in good hands. But we're talking about the power music has to bring solace, like Superman did during 9/11. Also, the power of music as a catalyst for change. And looking back, through history, I was reading recently that even Handel, with Messiah, he played benefit concerts to raise money for orphanages, and
Wow.
Using his, isn't that cool? Using that platform, using that beautiful music that he created to benefit others, and moving ahead. Music played such a key role in the March on Washington with Martin Luther King. The concert for Bangladesh with George Harrison. Live Aid, obviously. Famine relief, and it's just amazing. Oh, there we go.
That image, that never forgettable
Hey, Freddie.
image.
What's up, Freddie?
Freddie.
And that was a powerful performance.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
talking about somebody that had control over a crowd. I mean, that was a
Kind of a big
powerful
crowd,
day.
too.
It was yes. So let's talk about that. The role of music in in activism, in advocacy, in a fight for freedom, and you've done that quite often. Obviously, I want to make sure again to mention your role with the troops, and you using music to bring support and encouragement, and just appreciation, to those that are sacrificing their lives for the freedom of our country and for the world, really. So, thank you for that. So let's talk about this a little bit, John. How music can be a very powerful tool for change.
Yeah, as I said, it can be on personal levels and kind of macro levels. And again, one of my early life lessons once Superman in 100 Years kind of became popular was I did start interacting with many of our troops during the Iraq War and corresponding with them. And I learned very quickly how music can make a difference, but also how the troops would use the music in different ways. Some people would use it to escape, right? That makes sense. Some would use it to fire themselves up for a mission. Some would use that to wind down after a mission. And I saw very quickly how the songs that I write, whatever they mean to me is fine, but it's really what they mean to the listener. Because we take music in and we apply it to our lives in a way that's needed. And that was a good lesson for me to learn. And whether it was using songs to support causes like Augie's Quest, ALS, whether it was to raise money for wounded warriors, these causes, music provides a different emotional dimension, a different emotional reaction. And big picture wise, music can permeate borders in ways other mediums can't. We saw that with many of the causes that you mentioned. Sun City, another one, right? Yeah. Live Aid, the concert for New York, again, recognizing the heroes and putting a focus on that atrocity. So yes, I'm glad to hear Handel was doing it. I'm glad that Creedence did it, and Marvin Gaye did it, and many people did it in the 60s. Not many people do it as much anymore, which I think is maybe a reflection of the culture. But, for me, and we'll talk about it, the last year or so, writing songs basically just inspired by events or the actions of individuals, really fighting for freedom has become important to me. It wasn't something I planned. It's frankly something I wish I never had to do. But sometimes you just feel an obligation to say something or make something, like what you guys are doing, whether it's it's shining a light on something that happened, or shining a light on something that's happening, to hopefully prevent things from getting worse. So that's a long answer to your short question, but certainly there's a unique power in music that that we've seen through history, and I think is really important now.
I remember of course, it was actually September 1st, 1939, when Hitler invaded Poland and World War II began, and we all know what that became. I remember exactly where I was on February 24th, 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine. And I can remember we were actually shooting an interview for this project, and I can remember thinking, it's happening again. We have this dictator in Europe who is invading another country. It's happening again. Oh my gosh. And I know you, along with all of us, have been following that very, very closely of what is happening in Ukraine. I can remember pundits talking about this young, recently elected leader, Ukrainian president, and kind of saying he's going to be in way over his head, and those kinds of things. And I know that you've been very, very involved, or became very involved in this, in what's happening there, and using your voice. Maybe you can share a little bit about that with us.
Yeah, sure. No, I think we all were kind of inspired and blown away by Zelensky in the initial days of the war. You're right. What did we hear? He's a comedian. He was on television, and virtually everybody predicted him to last maybe 3 or 4 days. And I think, again, what was America's first act when Russia invaded Ukraine? It was to offer Zelensky a plane ticket, and he didn't take it. And he said, "Send me some stingers instead," knowing that not only would he likely be killed in the next few days, his wife and young children as well. So I think we all were taken back by that. And, who is this guy? We haven't really seen that fortitude, maybe in a generation or so. So for me, we were just coming off Afghanistan, this whole thing, and then this war, and I just felt an obligation to write something, being inspired by this person. And so I did. I sat down and I wrote this song, "Can One Man Save the World?" And you might remember in the early days of the war, the Russian assassins were hunting Zelensky. And you might remember one night he came out and said, I may not be here tomorrow. So I really, number one, I wanted to write the song in a way that if he was assassinated, it would still have impact and have the message. But I literally wrote it in a day. I recorded it piano vocal, mixed it, and put it out the next day, because I didn't know if he'd be alive by the end of the week. Usually, the people who make records, it takes, months to make a record and put it out. But so I did. So I put that, I did put that out there, again, not knowing what would happen, but I just felt this obligation to do it, hoping that 1,000 other artists would write a similar song, and there'd be this wave of support, artistic support for Ukraine and freedom under this kind of this attack on their survival by Putin. And the song came out, and it impacted some places, and maybe made a little bit of a difference, but it certainly led to an experience that I never could have imagined when I wrote that song.
Did you? I know that you got the opportunity to go to Ukraine somehow. Is that right?
Yeah, it was surreal. Talking about Poland, after the song had been out a couple months, I was going on tour with my string quartet, and I'd see the song react around the world, especially in Europe, around the front lines, and particularly in Poland. And I had a thought as we were in the back of the van driving around the country with my string quartet on tour. I said to my music director, I'm like, maybe we should, let's arrange the song for the shows so I can play "Can One Man Save the World" with quartet. But could you arrange it for an orchestra? And she's like, why? I'm like, well, Poland's been so great. Maybe I can go play the song with the Polish orchestra, shine the light on Poland. They've taken 4 million refugees, really the heroes of this war. The prime minister was with Zelensky within weeks in Kyiv, standing shoulder to shoulder with him. So I'm like, maybe we can do a musical kind of recognition of Poland. And we'll go to Poland and I'll play the song with the orchestra, and it'll be what it is. So I called a friend of mine that has relationships over there, and I said, you know, how about this idea with Poland? She's like, sure, no problem, great idea. Let me get back to you in a few days. And she called me a few days later, and again, this is kind of like the concert for New York. It's just one of these moments you don't forget. She said, all right, I've talked to some people. How would you like to go to Ukraine and play the song with the Ukrainian orchestra? Wow. And I kind of had the same. I kind of sat back. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, do they even exist? Is there an orchestra? What are you talking about? And she's like, we've talked to some people over there. They'd like it to happen. You know, a lot of kind of minor miracles have to happen. Let's work on it. And I worked with this group, Save Our Allies, when Afghanistan, with withdrawal from Afghanistan. And they, I'd kind of embedded with some of these groups, and they also had relationships in Ukraine. So they started working on it. And Save Our Allies rescued 12,000 Afghans in 10 days. Truly heroic stuff with these special forces guys. Just heroes, make you so proud to be an American to see what these people did. So I'd already known them, and they had moved their operation from Afghanistan to Ukraine before the war even started. They were doing heroic work there already. You might remember Benjamin Hall, the Fox News reporter who was severely injured. They saved his life. I met the guy. I saw the ambulance. So there was these kind of two folks working on it. Long story short, I was on tour, didn't know what was going to happen. It was the last night of my tour. I checked my email. There was a plane ticket to Krakow for the next day. And my wife was with me because we thought this might happen. So you guys could probably understand I had a long dinner with my wife, a long conversation, a couple glasses of wine. And but I'll always be grateful she let me go. And so off I went to Krakow. And talk about a surreal 48 hours. You know, we've talked before, but one of the things that really intrigues me about your project is when I went to Ukraine, you fly to Amsterdam, you fly to Krakow, you get this guy drive you 200 miles an hour to the border. He literally drops you off the border. Nobody speaks English. You walk across the border yourself. There's no Wi-Fi. You try to get a car. We got a car to Lviv. Hopped on a train with some congressmen. It was like a bad movie, but once we got there, you really kind of felt what was going on there, and we can talk more about it. But it was a humbling, illuminating experience to see it firsthand, to see these people, just like Hübner did. In Nazi Germany, literally under attack every day, and you have to go. Of course, they weren't in Russia, but to see physically the atrocities that I did see, to talk to the people who'd lost loved ones, in a 1950s setting, because the trains were from 1950. The tanks I sat next to when I played our video that you'll see are World War II tanks. So here I was in this World War II twilight zone. With this invasion, talking to people every day about freedom and liberty and seeing it firsthand, and meeting those who lost loved ones. So it was heavy. It was every emotion you could imagine.
Incredible.
And then you ended up playing that song with. So you were planning. The initial idea was to play it with. Maybe play it with a Polish orchestra.
Yeah.
You ended up playing it with a Ukrainian orchestra?
We did. We found somebody who could put together the Ukrainian orchestra. There's 30 of them, and as literally as I was driving from Krakow to the border, I was on my laptop trying to produce the recording session, which was crazy in itself. We hired a great conductor. And the beautiful thing for them was they hadn't played in months. Of course, they'd been scattered across the country, so they came into Kyiv for this. So we're trying to get the recording done, and even then, we didn't know where we were going to shoot. We assumed it would be in a subway, because that's where most people were doing videos. Because if there's an air raid, you don't have to stop shooting. You're kind of safe. So we didn't know where we were shooting, but as we were driving to Lviv, we got a call from one of our Save Our Allies folks, and so you may be able to film at the Antonov Airport in front of the Maria. The Maria is the symbol of Ukrainian independence. It's the largest cargo plane in the world, actually flew the Soviet space shuttle, and it's literally the symbol on their patch. One of the Army translators gave me this patch. So you can see the plane, that's the Maria. And again, it's kind of the heart of the Ukrainian people. And Putin, in the early days of the war, when he was trying to take Kyiv, he intentionally went to the Antonov Airport, blew the nose cone off the Maria, trying to gut the will of the Ukrainian people. So when they said we might be able to play there, of course, you know, you keep going through these kind of emotions of anger, frustration, just, you know, horror at what's happening. But as you guys being filmmakers, you're also like, oh my God, this is the perfect set, right?
That's cool.
It's the perfect setting, symbolic, you know, to
Yeah.
put these musicians in front of this destroyed plane.
Yeah.
That says everything. You don't need to say anything. Just the fact that they're there, their fortitude, their spine, which reflects the Ukrainian people. So we didn't know what's going to happen. We get there, yes. We went to scout it one day. Again, you guys could tell your stories. We sat outside the guard shack for 3 hours. It's not going to happen. A million generals have to sign off on this. We finally get in. And then, of course, the next day, it's the one day it's going to rain. Well, the orchestra is not going to play in the rain. So, you know, they show up in their bus. They're not going to play, you know. And then, you know, is this going to happen? And, you know, you're trying to shoot anything. But it was the most powerful experience of my life. And a story I love to tell that really encapsulated it for me was we were shooting a take with the orchestra in front of the Maria, kind of a wide take. And I noticed out of the corner of my eye, I was playing, so I couldn't really stop and look, but I saw, you know, kind of entourage of uniforms coming towards us. So once we finished the take, I looked over, and it turns out it was the general who had approved us filming here, which was a big deal. And his kind of entourage of Rambos, you know, totally out of central casting, just big, tough beards. You don't want to mess with them. And and he came over to me, and he wanted to let me know that, you know, appreciated us coming, that President Zelensky personally approved this. And then he had said something which I'll never forget too. He said, "Let me hear it." And you could see when he walked over, the kind of orchestra stiffen a little bit. And when he said, "Let me hear it," you could see they were like, oh, okay. I mean, he's one of the leading generals there, a source of pride for them. And you could see they were nervous, excited to play for him. And so here we go. We roll, you know, we hit the tape, but you could certainly hear the orchestra playing to the record. And we started playing, and he started watching, and the orchestra took flight. They played with vigor. They played with pride. They played with emotion. And halfway through, you could see some of the big Rambos putting on their sunglasses because they got a little teary. And I kind of lost it, you know, halfway through. And at the end, when we hit that last note, there was a silence in this kind of hollowed ground that was probably 3 or 4 seconds. But it felt like 3 or 4 days. And you felt the weight of what we were doing. You felt the reason why, this collaboration with some American guy with a song and these Ukrainian people in this setting, literally them fighting for their survival in a place where just a couple months before, Putin had come ransacked and tried to destroy this country and these people. It was a clarifying moment for me, but it gets even more powerful. I suddenly realized, after walking over and talking to him, that virtually nobody understood the words. The general didn't speak English. Many of the orchestra didn't speak English. So this kind of commune, this kind of joining of spirit between these Ukrainians that I never imagined I could meet on the other side of the world fighting for their survival, and an American who many believe is the shining light for freedom of this world, hit home. And it really imprinted on me the true power of music and these people that can't even understand the words playing this song together and having this emotional connection. I wish every American could have been there. I wish every American could have seen what I saw. And I think they would have a better sense of why it's critical that we support Ukraine and not let Putin devour this country.
Did the general have any words for you after he saw the performance and heard it?
No, he really liked it, and what was cooler was to see him go and hug the conductor and shake hands with the players.
Yeah.
And it'd be kind of like meeting MacArthur or something, during a war, and just to see them and to see their fortitude. And yeah, we're working on some other things that we're still in contact with the general, and that relationship continues. But yes, he was grateful, but certainly not as grateful as we were to be there and to be at this site, which, as I said, I think was the perfect place to make this artistic statement.
John, I know you've given us access to the music video that you shot there, and I think the closest that we and all of our viewers can come to that experience you just shared is maybe to watch that music video. Let's go ahead and take just a couple minutes. Esther, if you want to cue that up, and let's look at that music video for Can One Man Save the World? absolutely powerful. So moving.
Yeah, that refrain, am I alone in this? That's haunting. Yeah, I think anybody that's making a stand sometimes, you feel that. Am I alone? Am I doing the right thing? And is it making a difference?
I also had another thought as I was watching that, John. For some reason, I just imagined you as a teenager, and I think you grew up in Southern California, writing songs on the piano and plunking away, and a budding singer-songwriter. Did you ever think that you would be there doing that,
I didn't think I'd be there 4 months ago. It's amazing. It's amazing where life takes you. It's kind of one of the beautiful things of I hate the word artist because I think of a painter, but somebody who creates things out of nothing. You never know where it's going to take you. Sometimes it's tough things, sometimes it's disappointing things, and sometimes it's things that change your life. And certainly that was one of those for me. And it's just, I love that trumpet player. That guy was just so cool. And
Yes.
and that, as you guys saw, that was the general at the end in that picture that I told you the story about. But yeah, it was and still is, just surreal and humbling.
And it brings up such an important and poignant question about, can one man save the world, or what can each of us do to have an impact, on saving the world? My dad was a B-24 bomber pilot who just, was one small part of this huge movement that saved the world, And I think of Helmut Hubner. I think of this 16-year-old kid in Nazi Germany who picked up the only instrument he knew how to play, which was a typewriter, and did his part in an effort to change the world and hopefully save the world. So it's just I love these connections, seeing the power of music and how it moved people who couldn't understand the lyrics, but brought peace, and strength to everybody there, but to a nation and to all of us who are exposed to it as well. And just seeing how, again, for this project with Truth and Conviction, how we're trying to tell a story about a kid who, I don't know if Helmut ever actually, I'm sure that he didn't say to himself, maybe I can save the world, but I'm sure that he said, maybe I can do something. And this is all I know how to do. So I'm a good writer. So I'm going to write what I know and put it out there and risk my life to do it. So anyway, just such a powerful connection for me. And to all of our viewers, if you are watching this and just thinking, okay, man, yeah, this is powerful, and maybe I can do my little part in this. One thing could be to go to angel.com/truth and check it out. This is where you can go and become an investor in this project, become a part owner in this project. But I think more important than that, you can help us tell this story. And it's a story that is worth telling. So, John, so grateful for you sharing that with us, for you sharing your talent and your passion for doing something with the gifts that God has given you. So just so grateful.
Well, thank you. And I think one interesting thing kind of that connects to your project was, who was the one person that I included in that video that was not Zelensky or Ukrainian? It was only there for 2 seconds, but it was very important for me to do it. It was Churchill. Churchill. Certainly, one person can't save the world. Certainly, Zelensky's not Zelensky if he doesn't have the fortitude of the Ukrainian people behind him, and I would argue the rest of the free world behind him. But we saw that in World War II. Was Churchill the only one? No. But sometimes one person's will can inspire or also shame people into doing the right thing. And the thing that really attracts me to your project now is I think it's so timely, because we are seeing Hubners all over the world. We are seeing women in Iran be murdered for fighting for freedom. We already see in Afghanistan the cost of the loss of freedom. And still, you see women, standing up to the Taliban, Taiwan, Venezuela. We could go down the list. There are Russian dissidents who have been imprisoned. So it's happening now. And that's why I think it's so important to tell these stories. And tell stories of what's happening as we speak and connect those dots. Because freedom mattered in 1940, it matters in 2022. And the last thing I'll say about your project, which again is very appealing to me, is the fact that your hero is a teenager. As a dad with 2 kids in their early 20s, I'm very concerned that our generation of children really don't appreciate the cost, the sacrifice of freedom. That's all they know, that's all we've grown up with. What's happening on the other side of the world, it's far away from me, it's a TikTok world. And I think it's critical that we engage them and remind them of history and that there is a cost. Freedom is not free. And I think your piece that has a teenager who literally died for freedom is something that needs to be seen, not just on streamers or on your platforms, but in schools. It's important. And also, I really appreciate that you guys are making it in a way that'll tell the story, but not be so gratuitous that you can't show your kids. I think that's so critical. You want to be able to show it to a 13-year-old, to a 14-year-old, without having to fast forward through or be worried about that reaction. So again, I appreciate what you guys are doing. It's a big lift. I know how it is to do these projects. It's really hard. I had to fund my trip to Ukraine myself. Nobody's standing there with a check. I don't have a big studio beside me. And that's what you guys are doing with your partners who are watching this. So I really appreciate anybody who wants to invest. And again, it's great to do it. You'll get your money back, you'll make some money. But what really matters is do whatever you can to make a difference for freedom. Whether you're Zelensky, whether you're some songwriter, we're filmmakers, whatever you do, we all have a role to play. Some people say, well, what can I do? Yeah, you can donate money to people like Save Our Allies. You can invest in truth and conviction. You can find ways to do it. No effort is too small. That's what I say. And we all have a role to play. The one song that I always end my shows with is, what kind of world do you want? And basically that song says, you can stand and complain, or you can take action. And I'm more of a fan of those who take action and try to make a difference in whatever little way they can.
Love that. Beautifully said.
Yeah.
John, do you have another minute or two if we have some questions?
Yeah.
We can just see if we
Let's
can
do
field
a couple
some
questions.
Field a couple questions. Let's see what we got here. Okay, good. Time for one question. It says, Five for Fighting has the song Hope. What gives you the most hope about the Truth and Conviction Project? John?
Well, I'm always inspired when artists have passion projects and have the will and the fortitude to make them. Matt, I know, again, you've been thinking about this for decades. And, a lot of people would throw in the towel. But I think this time, where we're at right now, we're on the tipping point of history. Freedom's on the tipping point. And I think what happens in Ukraine will have generational consequences. Taiwan, we saw what happened in Afghanistan. But you also see people standing up for freedom who've been oppressed for so long. We talked about Iran. So, making this kind of content gives these activists a shot in the arm. They're like, oh, I'm not alone in this. Here's some other folks that believe in freedom. We're trying to do a concert for freedom in Poland, a Live Aid type concert with all the big artists in the world, just again to give a shot in the arm to these people who are literally risking their lives and sometimes dying for freedom as we're talking right now. So these kind of efforts, I think, are critical. And not only do they shine the spotlight on Ukraine and Poland, as we talked about, the main reason I went to Ukraine and filmed this video was to get it into Russia. I wanted the Russians to see this. I wanted them to see, no, Ukrainians are not Nazis that Putin's telling you. You're the pariahs. and you have the choice, the obligation to take out your tyrant. And this song can get in there where other mediums can't. So, you know, hopefully your film, your series can get into Russia. It can get into places where there are those who may feel the urge to speak up, but feel that nobody's there to assist them. So every little piece of assistance, of art, of recognition of what they're doing to fight for freedom makes a big difference. And I saw it firsthand when I went to Ukraine, and saw the kind of energy that it gave those people, and even the general, to see that, look, you know, you got people around the world who's got your back, and you are not alone in this.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, to everybody out there who's tuning in, John, we're all grateful for the time that you have spent with us here, and grateful to have you as part of. We feel like you're part of the team, so we're grateful to have you here as part of the team. Just a little shout out for next week. We've got a live stream next Wednesday, the 9th, and music is the theme. Our special guests next week are the Piano Guys. So we'd invite everybody. Yeah, aren't they? Isn't that awesome?
They're awesome.
Yeah. So invite you to tune in next week, next Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and we'll be joined in studio with the Piano Guys. And again, go to angel.com/truth. You can invest now and be a part owner in this project. We will bid you farewell and goodbye, and then just right after we're done here, they're going to show a cool little pitch video, if you will, a little video that tells you a little bit more about the project and how to get involved. So again, John, thank you.
John, thank you very much, my friend.
And to everybody, good night.
In my generation, we get our friends together to make dance videos. But in 1941 Nazi Germany, 16-year-old Helmut Hubner got his friends together to take on Hitler. Yeah, that actually happened, and they were my age. My generation needs stories like this. We need it. Based on a true story. At the height of World War II, an anonymous leaflet denouncing Hitler and his Third Reich is posted in the middle of Hamburg, Germany. The author? 16-year-old Helmut Hubner. Helmut and his friends try to expose the truth about the war and the evils of Adolf Hitler while evading an obsessed Gestapo officer who won't rest until these freedom fighters have paid for their conviction with their blood. It's called Truth and Conviction, a story about someone my age standing up to Hitler in Nazi Germany. If you're thinking, wow, what an amazing story, someone needs to turn that into a 4-part miniseries, you're not the only one. The creators sent the script to the Academy Award-winning producer of Schindler's List, Gerald R. Mullen. Here's what he had to say. I've had the opportunity to read some phenomenal scripts in my 50-plus years in the business. And now, again, I've been blessed to have read a masterpiece. Reading this story has moved me to a sense of pride, country, honor, duty, and tears. The Truth and Conviction team started with writer-director Matt Whitaker. Matt wrote the award-winning World War II films Saints and Soldiers and Instrument of War. He even made a PBS documentary about Helmut and his friends, with the last surviving member of the Hubner group. Kaleidoscope Pictures joined Matt to make this vision a reality. Kaleidoscope has produced more than a dozen feature films and network television series. Multi-million-dollar productions are what they do. And for marketing and distribution, Angel Studios, the studio behind the biggest crowdfunded series of all time, The Chosen. Angel has helped raise over $30 million for incredible stories that amplify light. And Baltic Films, the European production arm behind award-winning mega hits like HBO's John Adams and Chernobyl. Wow. Now all they need to share Helmut's story is you. The Truth and Conviction team is inviting you to become a part owner in this series. Just click the link to invest in Truth and Conviction today. By investing in Truth and Conviction, not only could you share in the potential profits down the road, but more importantly, you would share in bringing this heart-changing story to the world. Oh, and I guess I have to say this too. As with any investment, only invest what you are willing to lose. Lawyers. But the team thinks investors could make their money back and then some. Historically, people love World War II stories, and we think Truth and Conviction can join the ranks of some of our favorites, like Jojo Rabbit, Dunkirk, The Book Thief, Schindler's List, The Imitation Game, Saving Private Ryan, and Band of Brothers. World War II stories can get intense, but the creators of this show want it to be safe to watch with your teens because it's a story about teens. I mean, this is different from watching adult Tom Hanks save adult Private Ryan. These are teens I can relate to. Think Dead Poet Society meets Schindler's List.
I came across the story of Helmut Hubner more than 20 years ago now, and I'm telling you, it will not let go of me. It's a story that changes people who hear it. It might be that it's more important right now to tell this story than it ever has been.
I mean, Nazi Germany would never happen again. Some authoritarian leader isn't just going to invade another country. We're past that, right? With the story of truth and conviction, kids my age can feel that maybe we too can stand up for what's right. So click the link or go to angel.com/truth now to own a part of this soon-to-be favorite World War II epic. It'll join the ranks of Hacksaw Ridge, The Imitation Game, Life is Beautiful, The Great Escape, Valkyrie, Letters from Iwo Jima, The Great Dictator, Patton, The Dirty Dozen, Downfall, Pearl Harbor, The Sound of Music, The Longest Day, Das Boot, Casablanca, Bridge over the River Kwai, The Guns of Navarone, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, Atonement, Darkest Hour, A League of Their Own, Greyhound, please just click the link. The Swing Kids, The Diary of Anne Frank, Resistance, Defiance, U-571, The Zookeeper's Wife, Operation Mincemeat.